Alright, look, Pokemon games are too easy now. What, with the power of friendship and a share the wealth style of experience share, I set out to see if we could return to a simpler time. A time when Pokemon used to be challenging. Anyway, this is why I went out to see if I could beat Pokemon Soul Silver without ever using any damaging moves. This means I'm never able to use any physical or special moves on any Pokemon ever. Surely a pacifist run like this won't take that long, right? So the rules are simple. No physical special moves, no legendaries, and no items in battle. As if the challenge wasn't already difficult enough. I picked my starter Chikorita for obvious reasons and started my journey down a long and tedious road. Luckily, you don't actually have to win the first rival battle. You can just lose and then the game will let you continue. After spamming Growl, we finally lost. But in a real battle, how are we gonna win? You see, we will get access to status moves like Poison Powder that will allow us to do damage. But wait, that isn't learned until level 9, and we're level 5. How are we gonna get there? Well, it's gonna be a struggle, but we'll be able to get there. First, we will have to find a Pokemon that won't be able to hit us, such as this Kakuna. Next, it has to use Harden 30 times, all while we waste turns. Once it runs out of Harden PP, it'll start to struggle. Now we just need to wait until it knocks itself out, granting us that sweet XP. With a lot of patience and a little bit of speed up, I was able to get to level 9 after only 14 minutes. Now that we have Poison Powder, it was finally time for our first battle of the run. See, it's simple. All we have to do is poison this Rattata until it finally knocks itself out. I easily cleared the rest of the trainers and made it all the way to Sprout Tower. On my way, I caught a Geodude and a Zubat for sacking, and then a Ghastly, which will be one of the saviors of this run. After a whole 2 hours, it was finally time to challenge Falconer with his pathetic team of bird Pokemon. We hit the Pidgey here with a Supersonic so that it can deal some damage to itself, and then after it faints, we get a clean switch into our Chikorita to poison it. Then, we just have to play the waiting game until it finally fainted. Time for the Pidgeotto. All we had to do was hit it with Poison Powder again, let our Chikorita go down, and then go into Geodude. Since Rock resists flying, all we have to do is tank a couple Gust, and then we'll be on our way with our first gym badge. Well, I guess it isn't that simple. We're gonna need to do a little bit of training. Remember when I said Ghastly will be one of the saviors of this run? That's because Ghastly learns Curse, a status move where I lose half of my max HP, but give the other Pokemon a status where they lose 1/4 of their HP per turn. Making our way back to Falconer, it was time for our rematch. Getting a Cursed off against the Pidgeotto with Ghastly allowed us to easily crush Falconer and his joke of a team, allowing us to get our first of many gym badges. Next up, we got a quick badge from Bugsy in Azalea Town, made our way through the forest, and onto Whitney, which was a cakewalk as well. What started as a long and daunting challenge seemed to be a bit of a joke after the first gym. However, that was all about to change when compared to the monstrous 4th gym in Eckerteak City. The gym leader here uses Ghost-type Pokemon, which normally isn't a challenge. But since the only Ghost Pokemon he uses are also dual Poison type, it was hopeless to try our normal strategy, since you can't poison a Poison-type Pokemon. We also can't just curse our way through the gym, since our Ghastly only has enough HP to curse one of the Haunters. We can't curse the Gengar because it'll outspeed us and kill us. So to deal with this, we catch a Vulpix on the previous route, which happens to know Will-O-Wisp, allowing us to burn his deadly Ghost Pokemon. Yet, I'm only able to burn 2 of his Pokemon before losing Vulpix to a Dream Eater. I knock out the other Haunter through Curse, and then Monty sends in his Gengar. Now, this seems like a problem. I have no way to damage this Gengar, but he doesn't have any way to damage me either, allowing us to easily get a victory just by wasting turns until it struggles itself to death. With Gengar down, all we need to do is wait for the other burned Pokemon to faint, and we win. With our 4th gym badge down, I made my way to Chuck to get our 5th gym badge. On the way, I had caught a Tentacool so we could set up Toxic Spikes in battle. Now honestly, Gen 2 is kind of a joke. Chuck, being technically the 5th gym badge, only has 2 Pokemon, so by poisoning one and cursing and poisoning the other, it was time we go and fight Jasmine, which should be easy, right? You see, Jasmine is a Steel type trainer, And none of these can be poisoned, and with my current team, I was just not strong enough to curse and burn my way to victory. I needed to have a stronger team. So I first decided that I would need to get a Firestone to evolve Vulpix. But one of the only ways to get a Firestone pre-Elite 4 is from the Pokemon Olympics, the Pokathlon. After spending hours grinding on some insane mini games, I finally got enough points to get a Firestone and evolve my Vulpix into a Ninetales. Still, I was not confident enough in my abilities to defeat Jasmine. So I made my way to Mahogany Town, where Lance completely obliterates a man with his Dragonite, as we do a little breaking and entering, which happens to be exactly where Team Rocket's home base is at, where I stormed through some trivial battles. I decided to try and take on Price now, the 7th gym leader before Jasmine, to which I got absolutely destroyed by this man's ice team. Feeling defeated and stuck, I decided I need to come back a different day. After a day's rest, I was finally ready to take on Jasmine. With a combo of Burns, Curse, and Confuse Rays, we finally made some progress conquering the 6th gym badge. Back on my way to Price, I decided to grab a Pineco for later, as the typing of Fortress is great, and its setup moves are going to be extremely helpful. Back at Price, it was finally time, and I was ready. All we needed to do was set up Toxic Spikes with Tentacool and Confuse Ray my way to victory. With Price taken care of, it was time to face Team Rocket once and for all. Little did I know, we were about to encounter one of the hardest battles we have faced yet. Petrol. This man has a team of 5 Coughings and 1 Wheezing, an absolutely insane team of all poison Pokemon. Simply cursing and burning was not enough, and we couldn't just poison them either. After numerous attempts, I had felt hopeless. I needed to seriously rethink everything. So, I went to the Goldenrod Corner store and purchased some Protect TMs. Next, we needed one more Pokemon. There's this Pokemon the whole time that I had accidentally skipped over, thinking nothing less of them. That is, until now. You see, Hoppip is my savior, the chosen one, my Lee Sin Al-Gaib. Hoppip gets probably the best moves. From moves like Leech Seed to Sleep Powder and a high speed stat, this thing would put everything to sleep and then leech the opponent's life away. This godsend of a Pokemon made this wheezing and coughing battle a joke. After 2.5 hours, I finally was back to making some progress. I beat the rival, swept my way through Archer, and it was finally time to head to Claire's for the 8th gym badge. On my way, I had caught a Jinx in the ice cave. Now, Claire, honestly, was a joke of a battle, and it seemed this challenge was coming to an end. That was until I had to face the 5 Kimono girls. Now, they only have 1 Pokemon each, and there is only 5 of them, but you cannot heal in between battles, and at first, I went into these battles, and I couldn't think of a strategy to get past them. After tons of failed attempts, not even getting past the first 3 Pokemon, I finally had come up with a strategy to get past them. The Umbreon was easy. We just put it to sleep, Leech Seed it, and wait until it slowly loses all of its health. Next was the Espeon, which was a bit harder as we don't outspeed this thing, so we had to end the previous battle with as much HP as humanly possible. Doing so ensures that we live 1 Psychic and can put it to sleep. And then we just do the same thing, Leech Seed it, and just keep wasting turns until it finally goes down. Next was Flareon, which was easy. All we had to do was swap into Vulpix, then Confuse Ray, lower its defense until it knocked itself out. We got a little lucky on that one. Next was Jolteon. At first, I thought maybe Ninetales would be able to do something, but it had instantly killed it, as well as my Fortress. So, I guess I could only really go into Haunter and curse it. Somehow, we had lived on 8 HP, but we got the curse off, so Jolteon was down. Last was Vaporeon, and this thing destroyed my team with its water and ice moves. So we put it to sleep and Leech Seeded it. We had to hope it would knock itself out before it knocks us out, as I only have 2 Pokemon left. But luckily, Tentacool was the perfect answer for this. With this done, we were knocking on the Elite Four's door and just one step closer to finally beating this challenge. After defeating Lugia and our rival for the final time, we did it. We're finally here. The Elite Four, as you would expect, were some of the toughest battles I had to face yet, and my luck and the execution of my strategy had to be perfect. I won't go through all the failed attempts, or we'd all be here for another hour or so. I failed multiple times and knew that we were just significantly underleveled. So it was time for an intense grinding session. Yeah, look, I was not about to grind about 10 levels per Pokemon on wild Pokemon for the next 4 hours without attacking. I just don't have the time or effort to stream for 4 to 5 hours grinding on wild level 32 Pokemon by simply wasting time in turns just to get some XP. Between work and this, I really don't have that much free time, so I didn't want to spend it just mindlessly grinding. There's just no strategy and fun in that. So after the hardest and sweatiest grind session of my life, it was finally time to challenge the Elite Four. First up is Will and his obnoxious psychic Pokemon. He starts with a Xatu, and I start with a Fortress, setting up double toxic spikes for the badly poisoned damage, and some spike layers for a little more damage. I also lead with Fortress as Xatu knows U-turn and won't use U-turn against Fortress, as Psychic is much stronger. We need to meticulously control every variable we possibly can in these battles, or we will just end up losing. Since I know Xatu's going to go for a Psychic and not a U-turn, I can have a relatively safe switch in for Jumpluff, barring any crit. You see, it's vital that Jumpluff lives here so we can set up a Sleep and a Leech Seed to recover HP and do damage at the same time. And a U-turn would knock this thing out, leaving us little to no chance at success. With everything in play, we just need to waste turns by throwing balls at it until it goes down. Next comes in Jinx. And this is where the double toxic spikes and spikes really come into play. See, setting up 2 toxic spikes causes Jinx to lose 1/16 of her maximum HP, and with each turn that follows it, it increases by another 1/16. Put simply, means more turns, more HP gone. After Jinx, Slowbro comes out, and we do the same thing to her, just wait the turns out. Next comes in Will's other Xatu, because apparently there's only 4 psychic Pokemon in the entirety of Johto, and this also happens to be one of our biggest challenges. Since it's flying, Toxic Spikes does nothing to it. So we have to burn it with Ninetales and then Confuse Ray and lower its defense and hope that it hits itself and simply just knocks itself out. Lastly, Executor comes in and the play is simple. We just sack Tentacruel and switch into Haunter to outspeed and land a Curse, securing our victory and the first Elite Four member down. Next up was Koga, who I thought was going to be a lot harder than he actually was. See, with an all poison type Pokemon team, our classic Toxic Spike strategy was not going to work like it was. Although, he's more of a purple type trainer than a poison type trainer, because much like Will, he only has 4 poison type Pokemon. Seriously, what is wrong with these games? This time I lead with Ninetales, so I can burn his Ariados and then start roaring, so I can burn another Pokemon. Crobat comes in, so I burn. Then switch to sack Jinx and get a free switch into Jumpluff so I can Leech Seed Crobat. Knowing he's going to heal soon, I switch into Ninetales to get some HP back and a free turn where I can Confuse Ray. Next, I switch into Fortress as Fortress kinda walls all of his Pokemon, allowing us to again wait out the turns until Koga's Crobat is no more. Next, Fortress comes in, and we just go into Ninetales, burn it, and wait for it to go down. Next, Muck comes in, and we just seed it, and it misses a Gunk Shot by pure luck, as I really should have put it to sleep first. Now, we switch to Haunter, who can easily tank a Gunk Shot, and we start Confuse Raying and Spiting it to waste turns. Then, Venomoth comes in, and it's a quick Curse to Kill combo, as we wait for the Ariados to come back. Once the Ariados comes back in, we just do the same thing. Curse it, and there we go. Successfully securing us the second Elite Four victory. 2 down, 3 to go. It's time for Bruno, and he is much of a joke in this game as he is in the Gen 1 games. We start with Ninetales and go for a burn against his Hitmontop. Hitmontop goes for Dig. Now, I can switch into Haunter since Haunter has Levitate and Dig does nothing to Levitate. For some reason, Hitmontop just kept spamming digs so I could then switch into Fortress and start setting up spikes and toxic spikes. Then all we really did was waste turns by switching around until his team fell one by one. For some reason, his Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan really like to fire punch and fire kick, so we just kept switching back into Ninetales each time, and every time we'd use a fire punch or fire kick, a flash fire would activate, dealing no damage to us. Next was Onyx, and the same thing, just switch around until it was over. Then Machamp came. Seed the Machamp, burn him, and the battle was over like that. This battle was refreshing, easy, and quick compared to the other two. Next up was Karen and her, dark type team. I get that they don't have too many Pokemon to pull from, but I despise fake news and fake advertising. Anyways, I thought this battle was going to be harder than Bruno's, but I guess I was wrong. We lead with Jumpluff to Leech Seed the Umbreon, then immediately switch over to Fortress to set up Toxic Spikes and Spikes. Even though Karen has 2 poison Pokemon that are not going to be affected by Toxic Spikes, her real issue is the Houndoom. This thing is a beast, and some Toxic Spikes will give us the quick edge we need to defeat it. We cannot let this monster set up nasty plots, as it could Dark Pulse, Flamethrower its way through our entire team. With it badly poisoned, we can switch into Ninetales for the Flash Fire, and then Confuse Ray it. Then, we switch back and forth between Fortress and Ninetales till it inevitably goes down. With Murkrow on the field, I sack my Jinx to get in a clean switch into Jumpluff to set up Leech Seed, and wait for it to die as we set up barriers on Tentacool. Vileplume comes in, and I decide to let Tentacool get paralyzed, so I can switch into Jumpluff, knowing Vileplume won't go for another Stun Spore. I need to put Vileplume to sleep now so I can safe switch into Haunter and get a curse off. With it cursed and confused, I switched into Ninetales, praying that the Vileplume doesn't take it out. Lastly, Gengar comes in, and it's time for our last Pokemon. I'm really hoping that we outspeed, but we don't. But luckily it misses its Focus Blast, and we just have to seed it, which unfortunately also misses. I go for a Sleep Powder, hoping Gengar doesn't knock me out. I survive. I guess it's not super effective, but still, it's a Focus Blast. With it asleep, all we need to do is curse it, and it's over. The Elite Four is done. It was finally time for the final battle, the natural conclusion to this run. Lance and his terrifying dragon Pokemon. And let me tell you, this was the most annoying battle to ever take place. I needed to have perfect luck. Not a single variable could be wrong, or else we would lose. See, we had to pray the Gyarados slept at least 2 turns so we could get a Leech Seed on it and then switch into Tentacool. That way we can set up defenses and Toxic Spikes, as this is the only Pokemon that can tank a few hits. Next, Lance's Dragonite comes in and we switch into Jumpluff, praying a Thunder doesn't crit us so we can put it to sleep as we outspeed it and then Leech Seed it. Then we switch into Ninetales and pray it sleeps enough so we can get a Confuse Ray off and lower its defense. Then Aerodactyl comes in. Here's the problem. This demon has perfect coverage for my entire team. Rock Slide, Aerial Ace, Crunch, and Thunderfang just about hits my entire team for super effective moves. So, for some reason, my first idea was to switch into Fortress and try and Sandstorm because I'm an absolute idiot. After that debacle, I go into Jumpluff and it one-shots me with Rock Slide, and obviously I don't outspeed it. I try to put a curse on it with Haunter, but Rock Slide also just one-shots me. It's not even super effective. My only hope was to spam Flash and then burn it with Ninetales, and that didn't work either, as he can just one-shot my entire team. Feeling devastated and lost, I turned to the only thing I could think of in my time of need. Obviously, a tedious and difficult grinding session so that I could get my levels up to speed against Lance's team. Finally, we can stand a chance against that purple demon and see victory once and for all. The plan was the same, except this time we go into Fortress on Dragonite so that way Lance sends out his Charizard. With his Zard out and my Fortress out, he sees a super effective Fire Fang and will always go for it. Well, most of the time. As long as the Fortress has enough HP, he will, but this shouldn't matter anyway, as all we need to do is hit a Confuse Ray and then pray he hits himself in confusion a few times. That way we can go back into Jumpluff and put the Zard to sleep so we can get a free Leech Seed. Being extremely lucky here, the Zard wakes up, misses an Air Slash, we land another sleep powder. So far, this battle, we have had near perfect luck, and as long as that keeps up, we will be in the clear. With Lance's Senkit Dragonite on the field, I go back into Jump Bluff, and again, perfect luck. His Dragonite misses a Blizzard on us, allowing us to get another Sleep and Seed combo off. Our luck continues to hold as Dragonite hits itself in confusion when we go into Ninetales, granting us some HP back. And Dragonite then misses another move as we get a free burn off it. My luck really couldn't get any better at this point. As he slowly goes down, we end with just over half HP on Ninetales. Down to 2 Pokemon left, and I still have my entire team. It's the rematch against this demon Aerodactyl. We let Ninetales go down and send in Haunter holding a Colbur Berry, which weakened Crunch's power, allowing us to get a Destiny Bond off and finally taking this monstrosity down. There was only one Pokemon left. One final Dragonite. All we had to do is click Perish Song and we won. That's it. Finally, the challenge was over. 25 hours later, and we were the champions. And it only took 73 in-game hours to do it. Look, you know it's not over, right? I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know this isn't the end, and there's a whole nother region to explore and battle through. But let's be real, 7 out of 8 of these Kanto gyms are a joke. Some of them only have 3 Pokemon on their team. None of them were difficult or even worth talking about, with pretty much all of them being defeated on the first or second try without any real thought-provoking strategy that the other battles before it had. But there is one battle atop a snowy mountain that we're really here for. One battle that is the hardest Pokemon battle known to man, and I wouldn't feel like this was completed unless I defeated him. So I quickly grabbed all 7 gym badges and made my way to Blue. Only 3.5 hours later, and it was time for our 8th gym badge. The only thing different about this battle than the ones before it is that I started it out by Perish Songing his Executor, but other than that, I just Leech Seed, Sleep, Burned, Confuse Ray, Curse, comboed my way to the end of the battle. And like that, we had 16 gym badges under our belt, and it was finally time to battle Red. But not with this team. You see, against Red atop this mountain, there's permanent hail on the battlefield. And yes, I know I can switch my time so that there's no hail, but I don't want to. So with my current team, no one can learn Rock Climb, and Tentacool is just not gonna cut it as he doesn't do anything in this battle. So I decided to bring an old friend back, Graveler. Welcome back, buddy. On the way, I find Stealth Rocks. That'll save us in this battle. I taught it to Graveler, and after one final grind session, I was ready to take on Red. I thought we needed perfect luck on that Lance fight. Well, compared to this fight, we're gonna need to win the lottery twice. We start off against Red's Pikachu, and we put it to sleep and then seed it. Either Pikachu has to sleep max 5 turns, or miss every single move as we go into Graveler to set up 2 Stealth Rocks. And it does. Pikachu misses. And we're at full health on Graveler. On Red's turn to heal, allowing us to save him for later. With this, we go back into Jump Bluff and put Pikachu back to sleep, so we can now go to Fortress and start setting up. With Fortress, we get 2 Toxic Spikes off, all while Pikachu sleeps. I'm able to switch into Graveler, knowing that if it wakes up, it'll go for a Thunderbolt, allowing us to have a full HP team while Red is already down to 5 Pokemon. Next is his Lapras, and here's where we're in trouble. See, with the Hail Up, Blizzard's accuracy is increased to 100%, meaning it cannot miss. We protect with Graveler and protect again to get chip damage with the poison. Knowing a Blizzard is coming, I switch into Jinx to take a Blizzard and start flashing, hoping for it to miss any body slams. And thankfully, it misses body slams. So far, every turn has gone our way. Perfect luck. Now, Charizard comes out. We thankfully had Stealth Rocks out, so it loses half of its HP. We Perish Song, knowing that we're gonna go down to a Flare Blitz. With Perish Song activated, Red will have to switch, and with Stealth Rocks on the field, it doesn't matter when that Charizard comes back, it'll just faint to the Stealth Rocks. With this, we go into Jump Bluff to put it to sleep, and we miss. And lose the most important member of our team for this battle. But I'm not just willing to give this battle up. I don't want to reset. I don't want to have to do this again. It takes perfect luck to get to this point, so I decide to keep trying. Maybe we can do it. Next up is Venusaur, so we burn it with Ninetales, then go back into Fortress and try to waste turns with Protect. It goes down. Then Blastoise comes in. Blastoise tries to Focus Blast, so I realize I can go into Haunter as it won't hit me, and then I can go for a Confuse Ray to speed things up. Down to his last Pokemon, Snorlax comes in. This is it. With Haunter still alive, all it has to do is click Destiny Bond as it goes for a Crunch. And just like that, it is officially over. 31 hours long, 95 in-game hours, and it is finally over. This is my first ever game challenge I've ever done, so if you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe and like the video. I'll be doing more video game challenges over on my Twitch, so follow me there if you like what you see. So that's it, we beat Heart Gold without ever attacking.